I'm finished, completely finished with him. Those weren't just words. They were the spark that turned the internet into a digital wildfire. One moment, timelines were calm. The next, chaos erupted. Because when Wendy Osefo, the woman who built her empire on grace and intellect, slammed those divorce papers onto the table, it wasn't a cry for sympathy, it was a declaration of war. The same Wendy who once stood by Edward through every whisper, every grainy leak, every headline soaked in scandal, just switched sides. And this time, she's not defending him. She's dismantling him. The world's collective question? What shattered her patience? Was it betrayal? Another shadowed affair? Or something so sinister, even Bravo's cameras blinked away? Insiders, or maybe sleepless internet detectives armed with screenshots and iced coffee, claim Wendy uncovered something buried deep in Edward's phone. Not just texts, instructions, hidden accounts, secret transfers, and one chilling message that read, "Delete everything before she finds out." This isn't heartbreak. It's detonation. The kind of implosion you can't rewind or edit. Wendy Osefo isn't shedding tears anymore. She's rewriting her story in flames. It started like every other whisper floating across the gossip blogs until Wendy made it real. A single document, stamped in bold black ink, petition for dissolution of marriage. That PDF didn't just confirm the rumor, it detonated it. Within minutes, the internet became a courtroom, and everyone had an opinion, a meme, or a theory. Screenshots flooded timelines. Reaction videos dissected her last red carpet smile. By lunchtime, the love story was officially on trial. One tweet nailed the tone of the chaos. Remember when she said she'd never leave him? Guess that promise expired the moment the receipts dropped. Hashtags, hashtag Wendy Files, and hashtag Done with Edward lit up like emergency sirens. Morning talk shows broke from politics to decode the breakup like it was breaking national news. Even Wendy's harshest critics hesitated mid-rant to ask the same question: what did Edward do this time? And then, the internet found its answer. A shaky clip surfaced from what seemed like Edward's private birthday dinner. Candlelight, champagne, and a woman's silhouette, face blurred, but posture unmistakably intimate. Then came the voice. Calm, smug, whispering. "She'll believe whatever I tell her. She always does." The gasp was global. But Wendy Osefo isn't the kind of woman who hides behind silence. She replied with just one sentence on X, her digital dagger. Every queen eventually outgrows her clone. No names, no tags, just smoke and power. By morning, paparazzi swarmed her townhouse, ready to capture a broken woman. Instead, they got a queen in armor, black shades, iced coffee, and a manila folder that glinted with divorce papers. She didn't need to speak. Her smile, sharp, cold, and deliberate, said it all. While Wendy was serving quiet vengeance, Edward's camp was in full-blown crisis mode, the kind that smells like smoke before the flames even start. His PR team scattered like someone had hit the panic button. Within hours, his lawyer pushed out a statement calling the divorce a simple misunderstanding, exaggerated by social media. The internet's translation? He's guilty. But beneath the glossy press lines, whispers told a darker story, one that went way beyond cheating. Allegedly, Wendy had stumbled upon encrypted money trails, transfers masked under shell corporations tied to their so-called joint ventures. One insider, rumored to be an accountant, muttered to tabloids, "There's enough paperwork to build a mansion and still have leftovers." That was spark number one. The second came from a Bravo producer who couldn't hold their tongue any longer. They revealed that Wendy had stopped filming joint confessionals weeks before the filing. She wasn't broken, the producer confessed. She was rehearsed. Every glare, every sigh, it felt like a goodbye she'd already practiced. By sundown, Edward's empire began to crack. His business allies vanished into digital smoke. One luxury realtor quietly deleted every photo of them together. Another posted a cryptic story. Karma doesn't knock. It invoices. And then the bombshell. An audio file surfaced, allegedly recorded 2 months before the divorce. A woman's voice, calm, sharp, unmistakably Wendy, could be heard saying, I'm gathering everything. When I walk away, I leave proof. The internet erupted. Fans slowed it down, enhanced the echo, analyzed the faint tap of high heels across marble floors. Frame by frame, they dissected the tone, the conviction, the intent. For the first time, the world agreed on something. Wendy wasn't breaking down. She was executing a plan. Commentators crowned her the professor of petty. Memes portrayed her in courtroom robes, gavel raised high, captioned, "Class dismissed, Edward." Celebrities piled on. One rapper tweeted, "Wendy's running a masterclass in revenge, charge tuition, sis." But behind the laughter and memes, Edward's side was unraveling. A leaked email thread between his lawyer and a private investigator exposed the panic. Subject line, "Crisis control, find leverage." The silence that followed was louder than any statement. Leverage against Wendy? Please. That woman is leverage in human form. And that's where the story began to mutate from a messy divorce into a full-blown betrayal saga. Reporters digging for dirt struck gold, buried charity records under Edward's name that didn't quite add up. Money that was supposed to help communities somehow took a scenic route through offshore accounts before landing neatly back into his personal foundation. Overnight, the philanthropist husband narrative turned into a financial crime documentary waiting to happen. Morning shows turned studio sets into war rooms. Analysts stood before blown-up transaction charts, drawing red strings between Edward Osefo holdings and mysteriously timed withdrawals. One anchor smirked, "You can't spell romance without scam, if you bend the alphabet hard enough." And through all of it, Wendy said nothing. No interviews. No cryptic tweets. No teary lives. Just immaculate, unnerving silence. Every hour she stayed quiet, the noise around her grew louder. Was she striking a deal? Waiting for the perfect domino to fall? Or was she setting the stage for her grand finale? Then, at midnight, her Instagram story dropped 3 seconds that sent the internet into meltdown. A boomerang of a pen signing something, captioned only, "Freedom looks better on me." That was the moment it clicked for everyone watching. This wasn't heartbreak. It was a rebrand raw, ruthless, and cinematic. Fans paused the clip like detectives on a case. In the pen's reflection, they spotted stacks of documents, a lawyer's cufflink, and faintly, a scribbled signature that looked suspiciously like Edward's. Reddit threads exploded. X turned into a courtroom. And the internet collectively screamed, "Wendy just won the war without saying a single word." By sunrise, TMZ had already carved the headline into digital stone. "Wendy's mic drop divorce he signed." She smiled. But even that viral line didn't scratch the surface of what really went down. An insider, allegedly an assistant who resigned from the couple's firm just days before the filing, dropped the real bombshell. Months earlier, Wendy had received a package. No note, no return address. Just a plain envelope filled with USB drives labeled Private Ledger. She assumed it was fan mail, until she opened the first file and froze. There it was, Edward's initials beside transaction logs routed through Caribbean accounts. That's when something in her eyes shifted. No tears. No screams. Just a whisper that would haunt Edward forever. Got him. Within minutes, she was on the phone with her lawyer. And from that night forward, Wendy became her own investigator. Every odd withdrawal, every midnight call, every business trip that didn't line up. She logged them all neatly, ruthlessly, into what she would later nickname the divorce dossier. Friends noticed the transformation first. One recalled, "It was like she'd already left the marriage. She was just waiting for the world to catch up." And when those papers finally hit the courthouse clerk's desk, the city felt it. Talk radio turned her into a legend. Listeners called in with Wendy-inspired revenge stories. One woman proudly declared, "I threw his PlayStation out the window for Wendy." The movement had begun. Still, one question haunted everyone scrolling through the chaos. What was the final straw? That answer came with a new leak, courtesy of an unnamed paralegal who clearly had no loyalty left to Edward. Apparently, one of his business meetings was booked at a 5-star Miami hotel, and here's the kicker, on Wendy's corporate credit card. The receipt told its own story. 2 dinners, 1 bottle of champagne, 1 suite. Date? 2 weeks before their anniversary. Game. Set. Over. When the tabloids finally cornered Edward outside his gym, he looked like a man trying to outrun his own reflection. Cameras swarmed, microphones flew, and all he could muster was a shaky no comment, while fumbling with his car keys like they might unlock a better excuse. Within minutes, the footage was everywhere, slowed down, zoomed in, memed into oblivion. Captions read, "When your lies can't find the ignition." For Wendy, it was poetry. Every clip made her look like the calm in the storm, polished, untouchable, unbothered. The same woman tabloids once mocked as too emotional for TV had now become the face of control, calculation, and quiet power. One viral tweet summed it up perfectly. "She's not heartbroken, she's headline ready." And that's when the narrative shifted gears from scandal to investigation. Word from inside the Maryland courthouse hit the net like a live wire. Wendy hadn't just filed for divorce, she'd filed with receipts. Evidence exhibits, labeled neatly, bank statements, audio recordings, screenshots, proof through proof F. The whispers were relentless. If what's inside those folders goes public, one clerk murmured, it won't just end the marriage, it'll erase Edward's entire empire. And that's where part 1 reaches its haunting close, Wendy walking out of the courthouse, manila folder pressed against her chest like a trophy. Cameras flashed. Paparazzi screamed. The metallic glare of her sunglasses hid everything but confidence. Behind her, Edward's brand, his kingdom of luxury deals and TV smiles, began to tremble. The courthouse doors hadn't even stopped swinging before the murmurs began. "She filed it with evidence," someone whispered. Like, actual evidence. By sundown, the clerk's office looked like a thriller set, reporters swarming, interns ducking, and one janitor allegedly offered $500 just for a glimpse of the sealed attachments. But nothing leaked. Not yet. And that silence? It roared louder than any headline. Because everyone knew what came next. The investigation. By the next morning, the internet was in freefall. A verified gossip page dropped the post that detonated everything. Breaking. Wendy's divorce filing could trigger a full-scale financial probe. The word "could" didn't matter. News anchors read it like gospel. Within an hour, it hit 2 million views. And just when people thought the storm couldn't possibly get worse, the leaks began. The first tremor hit inboxes before sunrise. A so-called insider from the Osefo circle emailed several media outlets with what looked like a screenshot of an encrypted chat between Edward and a man identified only as C. The messages were brief, but lethal. C, she's asking too many questions. Did you clean the ledger? Edward, relax. Everything's rerouted. She won't trace it. C, unless someone helps her. And with that, the internet detonated. Who is C? Who was helping Wendy? And what exactly was the ledger? By midnight, conspiracy threads had multiplied like wildfire. Some swore C meant consultant. Others argued it stood for client. A wilder theory claimed C was an alias for an ex, business partner turned whistleblower, the kind of plot twist the internet loves more than proof. Meanwhile, Wendy? Still silent. No interviews. No tweets. No sources close to her. And yet, that silence wasn't absence. It was strategy. Every hour she said nothing, her follower count spiked. PR think pieces called it the Osefo effect. One headline nailed it. Wendy doesn't react, she reloads. While online detectives connected dots that didn't exist, something far more serious was happening offline. Federal investigators had reportedly reopened the Osefo Foundation's financial files. What had once been praised as a charity for educational empowerment now looked like a front for luxury expenses and offshore transfers. One anonymous tipster told a gossip blogger they used a scholarship fund to pay for a Paris trip. The blogger laughed, then posted it. By lunch, hashtag Paris Scholarship was trending across continents. Corporate sponsors panicked. A fragrance brand temporarily paused its partnership with Edward, releasing the world's most transparent lie. We value integrity and transparency. Translation? He's radioactive. Even Edward's inner circle began to scatter. A real estate influencer, once proudly flaunting vacation photos with him, quietly wiped her page clean. When fans noticed, she replied with one cryptic comment. "Let's just say, I know too much now." Within 24 hours, Edward Osefo went from respected mogul to open target. And just when the smoke started to thicken, Wendy made her next move. No leaked statement. No subtweet. A primetime interview. Her move number 2. 7 days after the filing, Wendy Osefo stepped into the kind of silence only a storm could follow. A dimly lit studio. Black outfit. No jewelry. No mascara, just eyeliner sharp enough to slice through lies. The host barely got out a polite "welcome back" before Wendy leaned forward, eyes locked on the camera, and detonated her truth. "I kept quiet for too long. He wasn't protecting me. He was protecting what he built off my name." Time froze. The clip hit TikTok, X, and YouTube like lightning finding metal. Within minutes, every timeline was ablaze, cinematic edits, goosebump soundtracks, captions screaming, the moment the queen reclaimed her throne. And just when the world thought she'd said it all, Wendy reached into her bag, pulled out her phone, and pressed play. 20 seconds. Edward's voice. Move the balance before she checks. The studio went silent. The internet did not. Instantly, a self-proclaimed forensic audio expert popped up on a rival broadcast, declaring with smug certainty, "It's authentic." That's his tone, his pattern, his guilt. Edward's lawyers tried damage control, calling it a heavily manipulated fabrication. But by then, it didn't matter. Because online, truth doesn't trend, chaos does. Wendy's clip hit 48 million views in 12 hours. Meme pages knighted her Saint Wendy of betrayal. Fan edits of her strutting out of court to Beyoncé's "Sorry" racked up millions of likes. But for Edward, this wasn't just humiliation, it was ruin. One of his company accounts was reportedly frozen for audit. Internal memos leaked, stamped in red. Emergency, crisis management protocol. One chilling line stood out: do not confirm or deny the existence of any ongoing investigations. Translation? They were cooked. Still, Edward tried to claw his way back. 2 days later, he went live from what looked like a dim rental condo, trying to perform contrition. He spoke slowly, pausing dramatically between each sentence, as if pain could be rehearsed. "You know, marriage is complicated. People say things in anger." It might have worked if the internet hadn't noticed the background. Because sitting on the dresser behind him, half-cropped by the camera's edge, was a framed photo of the same blurred woman from the infamous dinner video. And just like that, every ounce of sympathy combusted. The comment section turned into a firing squad. "Bro can't even cheat smart. He's giving PowerPoint apology energy. You left the evidence on your dresser." Reaction channels went live like it was breaking news. Podcasters analyzed his size. Influencers froze frames for lip reads. Edward Osefo wasn't a businessman anymore. He was a cautionary meme. The downfall was no longer happening. It had been immortalized. The calm before the storm shattered under fluorescent lights and live microphones. Wendy's attorney walked onto the podium like a man who knew every camera lens in the room was about to catch history being made. Composed. Precise. One sentence away from burying an empire. "My client has submitted documentation showing asset transfers and falsified invoices tied directly to Mr. Osefo's business holdings." Gasps. Flashbulbs. Chaos. And then, the sentence that detonated everything. "We will fully cooperate with any federal review that follows." Boom. In that instant, a messy celebrity divorce mutated into a national investigation. Cable networks replayed it on a loop. Morning talk shows called it the cultural reckoning of televised betrayal. TikTok lawyers broke down the statement syllable by syllable. Twitter detectives dug up trademark records from 2019, claiming Edward had prepared for freedom years before by secretly filing solo ownership of one of their joint brands. One tweet went viral. He trademarked freedom before she even knew she needed it. Then came the whispers from Capitol Hill. A senator's aide told a journalist, "If this involves charity funding, it's no longer gossip, it's government." Translation: subpoenas incoming. Edward's silence became his indictment. His team canceled interviews, locked comments, and went dark. His last social media post, a blurry quote card reading, "Sometimes silence is peace." Top comment? Or guilt? Meanwhile, Wendy leaned into her renaissance. She posted a black and white photo holding her children's hands outside the courthouse. Caption: "Peace isn't given. It's filed." The image went viral, printed on magazine covers, framed on news broadcasts. One headline read, "From reality star to reality check." But behind that poised serenity, insiders whispered about her next strike. Her legal team had drafted a civil damages claim, not for money, but for moral and reputational harm. Translation: she didn't want revenge. She wanted accountability. And that's when the tension escalated into something darker. Rumors spread that Edward's hidden investors included high-profile developers and donors, even names tied to politics. One anonymous aide confided to a gossip site, "If those documents go public, a lot of powerful people are going to wake up to very bad Mondays." Soon after, journalists started receiving encrypted messages, screenshots of threats allegedly sent to Wendy's PR team. "Stop digging or you'll regret it." But Wendy? She didn't flinch. She doubled down. Her team dropped a teaser for an exclusive tell-all special titled, "Freedom: The Story Behind the Silence." The trailer was cinematic chaos, flashes of headlines, courtroom photos, Edward's blurred silhouette, and Wendy's calm voice over it all. The truth was always in my hands. Then, one word filled the screen. Tomorrow. And just like that, the internet collapsed again. #Freedom Interview trended worldwide within hours. Talk shows cleared their schedules. Commentators sharpened their scripts. And that's where ends the night before impact. The world holding its breath, knowing that when the sun rose, one name would rise and the other would never recover. The morning of the interview. It felt like Judgment Day. Timelines went eerily quiet. Hashtags froze mid-trend. Even morning anchors dropped their cheerful tones. Every screen, from cafes to living rooms, flickered to the same title card, "Freedom: The Story Behind the Silence." At exactly 8 p.m., haunting piano chords played over flashes of paparazzi bulbs, legal documents, and a slow-motion shot of Wendy turning toward the camera. When the frame settled, she was sitting in all-white, radiant, controlled, terrifyingly calm. Her stillness carried more weight than any statement Edward had ever made. The host, cautious but curious, finally asked the question the world had been waiting for. "Wendy, you've been silent for weeks. Why now?" She leaned forward. "Because silence became a weapon. He thought if I stayed quiet, he'd keep control." A pause. Then she added, "But I've always been louder in silence than he ever was in lies." Twitter exploded before she even finished the sentence. #louder in silence trended instantly. The host slid a folder across the table. "Is this the evidence everyone's talking about?" Wendy smiled, not sweetly, but like someone who'd already won the game. "It's part of it," she said. "What's inside those pages shows the real reason I filed. The betrayal wasn't emotional. It was financial, and it was deliberate." Cue the collective gasp of a million viewers. The camera zoomed in as Wendy opened the folder. Inside were printed bank statements, emails, and a signed document bearing Edward's name. She tapped her manicured finger on a line highlighted in red. "This," she said, "is a fake consultancy invoice. $10,000 paid to a company that doesn't exist, filed under my name." The host blinked. "You're saying Edward forged your signature?" "I'm saying he turned our marriage into a business. And I was the product." Somewhere in another state, Edward was probably throwing his remote at the wall. The internet broke. Reaction channels went live within minutes, streaming the episode with commentary. One creator said, "This isn't an interview, it's an execution." Then came the footage nobody expected. Wendy pulled out her phone, connected it to the studio screen, and played a short clip. The screen flickered, then showed security footage from what looked like a luxury hotel corridor. Edward walked past the camera, followed by the same blurred woman from earlier leaks. The timestamp? The same night Wendy had hosted a charity gala alone. "I was raising money for families," Wendy said softly. He was raising glasses with her. The room fell silent. Even the host didn't speak. The only sound was the collective sound of millions of jaws hitting the floor. Cut to Edward's reaction, because of course someone filmed it. Paparazzi outside his condo captured him pacing on his balcony, phone pressed to his ear, shouting words the microphones couldn't catch. But his face said it all: panic, rage, realization. As the interview continued, Wendy shifted from sorrow to precision. She named shell companies, dates, and specific accounts tied to luxury items allegedly purchased with charity funds, designer watches, private flights, and even a yacht deposit. The host asked, "So you're alleging embezzlement?" Wendy didn't blink. "I'm stating facts." The audience lost it. Some clapped. Others cried. The internet crowned her the face of righteous vengeance. But Wendy wasn't finished. She leaned back, took a breath, and dropped the final bomb. "There's one more thing," she said. "He wasn't acting alone." Cue the dramatic music. The host raised an eyebrow. "Are you saying there's someone else involved?" "I'm saying there were people who knew. People who benefited. And I have proof." That single line sent shockwaves through industries. The gossip blogs melted. Commentators speculated names, politicians, influencers. No one was safe. Meanwhile, Edward's legal team scrambled to respond. Within 30 minutes of the broadcast, his attorney released a statement claiming Wendy was fabricating a narrative for attention. It didn't help. Every network aired the clip of Wendy's calm reply. "If I wanted attention, I would have stayed married." Mic drop. By midnight, the interview had reached 80 million views. Sponsors who once stood behind Edward began issuing apologies. A bank announced a thorough review of its client relationships. And whispers of a federal audit turned into headlines by morning. The next day, reporters swarmed the courthouse again. Word spread that investigators had requested the same exhibits Wendy had shown on camera. A clerk told the press she brought receipts, literally. Outside, fans gathered holding signs that read "Justice for Wendy" and "Queens don't cry, they file." Edward, in contrast, was nowhere to be seen. Rumors claimed he'd flown out overnight to clear his head. Others said he was meeting with crisis managers. Either way, his empire was cracking. Then came the twist, because every good story has one. Late that afternoon, a whistleblower emailed a major outlet with digital copies of documents linking Edward's accounts to a real estate consortium operating overseas. And guess what? One of the names on the paperwork matched a familiar figure, someone from the couple's reality show circle. The blog titled it simply, "Betrayal Has Layers." Wendy's fans went wild. "She warned us," they said. He wasn't working alone. It wasn't just gossip anymore. It had evolved into a saga, a televised downfall wrapped in moral justice. And amid the chaos, Wendy posted once more. A single black screen with white text, "The divorce was my closure. The truth is my revenge." That post shattered records, 10 million likes in 2 hours. News outlets called it the quote of the year. Influencers stitched it with their own breakup stories. Psychologists analyzed it on morning TV. But even as the world cheered, Wendy disappeared again. No interviews, no tweets, no live sessions. She had said her piece. 2 days later, investigators confirmed they had officially opened a probe into Edward's finances. One official told a journalist off record, "We've got questions about millions that vanished between 2021 and 2023. And just like that, the scandal that began as a divorce had become a national case. Podcasts titled episodes "The Osefo Files." Documentarians teased the fall of the power couple. Even Netflix allegedly made a call. Meanwhile, fans outside the courthouse held vigil lights, chanting, "We believe Wendy." But behind all the spectacle, there was one scene that never aired. According to a crew member from the interview shoot, once the cameras stopped rolling, Wendy sat quietly for a moment, staring at the floor. Then she whispered, "He thought I'd fall apart. I learned to rebuild." That line never made the broadcast, but somehow, it reached the blogs anyway. And it hit harder than any headline. Because that's what this whole saga was really about. Not just betrayal or fraud or fame. It was about a woman reclaiming her narrative in front of a world that had already written her obituary. When she finally stepped out of her townhouse again, Paparazzi swarmed, asking if she had any message for Edward. She paused, looked straight into the camera, and said, "I hope he learns what peace feels like when you can't buy it." The clip looped everywhere. Within hours, the phrase "can't buy peace" became a cultural mantra. Meanwhile, Edward's assets were officially frozen pending investigation. His last known public appearance was caught by a drone, boarding a black SUV, face buried under a hoodie, reporters shouting questions he didn't answer. As for Wendy, she started production on a documentary. Working title, Freedom Files. The teaser ends with her voice, calm and resolute. This isn't about revenge anymore. It's about record-keeping. And that's how the curtain closes on a marriage that began with red carpets and ended with red flags, on a love story that turned into a cautionary tale, and on a woman who turned betrayal into brand power. Because in Wendy's world, silence isn't surrender, it's strategy. The scandal might fade, but the message won't. Every viewer who watched that interview learned one thing: the truth doesn't whisper, it uploads. And somewhere out there, Edward's learning the hardest lesson of all. You can delete messages, hide money, even rewrite history, but you can't erase a woman who decided she's done with you. So here we are, standing in the ashes of a story that started as a fairy tale and ended as a full-blown fire. The world watched it unfold frame by frame. The lies, the receipts, the revenge. And now, as the dust settles, one question remains: was this justice or was this war? Because let's be honest, Wendy didn't just file for divorce. She filed for closure in public view, under fluorescent courthouse lights, with millions of witnesses pressing refresh. This wasn't heartbreak, this was strategy, streamed in 4K. She didn't lose everything, she liquidated her pain and made profit from the fallout. And Edward? He's the ghost haunting his own reputation, proof that you can run from accountability, but not from a trending hashtag. The deeper truth? Every betrayal leaves data. Every secret leaves a screenshot. And every lie leaves a digital fingerprint waiting to be exposed. So here's the real question. For you, the viewer still sitting there, jaw-dropped and popcorn empty, when the next scandal drops, whose side will you be on? The truth teller or the trend? Because this saga isn't over. The files are still open, the footage still rolling, and somewhere out there, another story is loading. And if you've learned anything from Wendy Osefo, it's this: silence may protect reputations, but speaking up builds legacies. If you want the next chapter, the Freedom Files, the leaked calls, the inside confessions, drop a comment saying next. Hit that subscribe, smash that like, and keep notifications on, because the next leak, it's going to change everything you thought you knew.